California, English First Language Part 1, Unit 6 Prose. All stories are Anansi's 9th Standard, 2024-2025 Karnataka State for Syllabus Part 1. 1. In the beginning, all the tales and the stories belong to Niami, the sky god, but Waku Anansi, the spider, yearned to be the owner of all the stories known in the world. And he went to Niami and offered to buy them. The sky god said, I'm willing to sell the story, but the price is high. Many people have come to me offering to buy, but the price was too high for them. Rich and powerful families have not been able to pay. Do you think you can do it? Anansi replied to the sky god, I can do it. What is the price? My price is three things, the sky god said. I must first have Morobo, the hornets. I must then have Onene, the great python. I must then have Osebo, the leopard. For these things, I will sell you the right to tell all the stories. Anansi said, I will bring them. He went home and made his plans. He first cut a gourd from a vine and made it a small hole in it. He took a large calabash and filled it with water. He went to a tree where the hornets lived. He poured some of the water over himself so that he was dripping. He threw some water over hornets so that they too were dripping. Then he put the calabash on his head as though to protect himself from a storm and called out to the hornets, are you foolish people? Why do you stay in the rain that is falling? Hornets answered, "Hmm, where shall we go? Go here into the dry gourd." Anansi told them. The hornets thanked him and flew into the gourd through a small hole. When the last of them had entered, Anansi plugged the hole with a ball of grass, saying, oh yes, but you are really foolish people. He took the gourd full of hornets to Niami, the sky god. The sky god accepted them. He said, there are two more things. Anansi returned to the forest and cut the long bamboo pole and some strong vines. Then he walked towards the house of Onene, the python. Talking to himself, he said, my wife is stupid. I say he is longer and stronger. My wife says he is shorter and weaker. I give him more respect. She gives him less respect. Is she right or am I right? I am right. He is longer. I am right. He is stronger. When Onene, the python, heard Anansis talking to himself, he said, why are you arguing this way with yourself? The spider replied, ah, I have had a dispute with my wife. It says you are shorter and weaker than this bamboo pole. I say you are longer and stronger. Onene said, it's useless and silly to argue when you can find out the truth. Bring the pole and we will measure. So Anansi laid the pole on the ground and the python came and stretched himself out beside it. You seem a little short, Anansi said. The python stretched further. A little more, Anansi said. When you stretch at one end, you get shorter at the other end, Nancy said. Let me tie you at the front so that you don't slip. He tied Onene's head to the pole. Then he went to the other end and tied the tail to pole. He wrapped the vine all around Onene until the python couldn't move. Unene Anansi said, it turns out that my wife was right. I was wrong. You are shorter than the pole and weaker. My opinion wasn't as good as my wife's, but you were even more foolish than I, and you are now my prisoner. Anansi carried the python to Niami, the sky god, who said, there is one thing more. Osebo, the leopard, was next. Anansi went into the forest and dug a deep pit where the leopard was accustomed to walk. He covered it with small bunches and leaves and put dust on it so that it was impossible to tell where the pit was. Anansi went away and hid. When Osebo came prowling in the black night, he stepped into the trap Anansi had prepared and fell into the bottom. Anansi heard the sound of leopard falling and he said, oh, Osebo, you are half foolish. When morning came, Anansi went to the pit and saw the leopard there. Osebo, he asked, what are you doing in this hole? I have fallen into trap. Osebo said, help me out. I would gladly help you, Anansi said, but I am sure that if I bring you out, I will have no thanks for it. You will get hungry and later on you will be wanting to eat me and my children. I swear it won't happen, Osebo said. Very well, since you swear it, I will take you out, Anansi said. He bent a tall tree toward the ground so that top, its top was over the pit and he tied it that way. Then he tied a rope to the tree and dropped the other end of it to the pit. Tie this to your tail, he said. Osebo tied the rope to his tail. Is it well tied? Nancy asked. Yes, it is well tied, the leopard said. In that case, Anansi said, you are not merely half foolish, you are all foolish. And he took his knife and cut the other rope, the one that held the tree, bowed to the ground. The tree straightened, up with the snap pulling the Osebo out of the hole, hung in the air head downwards, twisting and turning. And while he hung this way, Anansi killed him with his weapons. Then he took the body of the leopard and carried it into Niamey, the sky god, saying, here is the third thing. Now I have paid the price. Niamey said to him, Kwaku Anansi, great. Warriors and chiefs have tried, but they have been unable to do it. You have done it, therefore I will give you the stories from this day onwards. All stories belong to you. Whenever a man tells a story, he must acknowledge that it is Anansi's tale. In this way, Anansi the spider became the owner of all the stories that are told. To Anansi, all these tales belong. Please like, share, subscribe, and save the playlist. Thank you very much. Bye bye.